Despite the fact that technology has made transportation easier, there are still some places in the world that you can never visit. These places are considered forbidden due to various reasons, from places that are extremely dangerous to places that are just impossible to access. Join us as we discuss 15 places you should never go. Number 15. Mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, China. In 1974, some farmers who were digging a special field in the Shanxi province of China stumbled upon an archaeological discovery. After digging to a depth of 70 to 120 meters below the aquifers, they discovered fragments of a human figure made out of clay. They thought that was all until further excavations revealed the field was sitting on pits that were filled with thousands of life-size terracotta models of soldiers and chariots, weapons, top officials, and other animals. It turned out that the terracotta army was guarding the nearby mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, the first ever unifier of China in the Qin dynasty. Qin ruled between 221 and 210 BCE. The Chinese government has forbidden access to the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Although the tomb was discovered, it hasn't been excavated yet. Opponents of the idea of excavating the tomb believe that modern technologies may destroy the tomb. Also, making the tomb inaccessible is aimed at paying respect to the deceased emperor. Our knowledge of the mausoleum is that it houses a complex network of caverns underground. The people that buried Qin believed that the underground contained objects that the emperor would need in the afterlife. 700,000 people participated in the construction of the tomb, which lasted for more than 4 decades. With the construction of the underground city crypt dating back from the beginning of a 3rd century BC, we cannot but appraise the tremendousness of the architectural project. Number 14. Area 51, United States. Located in Nevada, Area 51 is one of the most famous forbidden places in the United States. In 2019, a viral Facebook event, Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us, was scheduled to take place on the 20th of September. Turns out the person who came up with the idea was just joking about it. But what is really the fuss about Area 51? Area 51 is used to describe a map location and is the popular name for a United States Air Force base located at Groom Lake, a dry lake bed in the Nevada desert, Las Vegas. What actually goes on inside the location has been kept top secret for years. At the location, you would see warning signs, electronic surveillance, and armed guards, all of which are aimed at keeping the place away from members of the public. Apart from it being illegal to visit the location, no flying objects are allowed over it, although the site is now visible on satellite images. Area 51 was built during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union as a testing and development facility for aircraft. Although it opened in 1955, its existence was shrouded in secrecy. It wasn't until August 2013 that the CIA officially acknowledged its existence. Since what goes on inside the site is not really known, people have come up with a lot of conspiracy theories. One of those theories is that the site is used for developing cutting-edge aircraft. Also, Robert Lazar, a man that claimed to have worked at the site, claimed the facility is being used to house and examine UFOs. Whether this is true or not, we don't know. All we know is that you can't visit the site, even for research purposes. Number 13. Dulce Base, USA. Dulce Base is a subject of conspiracy theory. Claims of alien activity at the base, which is situated near the Colorado border in New Mexico, were first raised by an Albuquerque businessman, Paul Benowitz. It is believed that the Dulce Base is a massive hidden compound that houses incredibly advanced technologies and human-animal hybrids. This secret military facility is accessed via a tunnel system that was dug with nuclear technology with a glass finish. It also has a tram that travels 12 to 14,000 miles per hour. However, people are not allowed at the facility. As a way of preventing access to it by the public, the base is being protected by ultra-tight security. The U.S. doesn't want the public to know about the facility for some reason. 1, that the U.S. has denied the presence of aliens on Earth for years. 2, the USA doesn't want the public to know that it has technology for fast travel and underground nuclear tunneling, as well as has created animal-human hybrids and alien-human hybrids. 3, The nation has feigned ignorance of the possibility of men, women, and children being abducted for experimentation against their will. Other reasons exist, but remember, these are conspiracy theories. Number 12. Snake Island, Brazil. Trust us. Snake Island in Brazil is one place you shouldn't dare to go, no matter how much you love snakes. The name alone is capable of sending fear down anyone's spine. As the name suggests, the island is known to be infested with thousands of deadly snakes that the Brazilian government has made visiting the zone illegal. Even without a ban, the site can never be a choice for tourism. A snake bite isn't something anyone wants to joke with. It is estimated that there are approximately 4,000 golden lanceheads on the island. Lancehead vipers are the deadliest serpents on the planet. The mortality rate of the snake's venom can be up to 7%. Considering the absence of help in the event of a bite. For people with antivenom, the mortality rate is believed to be up to 3%. Individuals that get bitten but survive will suffer severe body damages, which may include pain, internal bleeding, necrosis of muscle tissue, and hemorrhages in the brain. But what if the snakes find their way to the mainland coast? There's nothing as such. The island, also known as Ilha de Queimada Grande, is located 20 miles off the coast of São Paulo in southeastern Brazil. Given this distance, it is almost impossible for the snakes to get to continental South America. The island used to be home to a lighthouse that housed keepers. Unfortunately, history has it that the snakes attacked and killed them all. Now the island runs on the laws of nature while the Brazilian Navy carries out annual repairs. Roughly 3,000 lanceheads are believed to be residents on the island. By keeping people away from the island, there has not been any modern record of deaths from bites. Number 11. North Sentinel Island, India. If you think the inhabitants of this island, the Sentinelese tribe, would be willing to welcome tourists, you are wrong. The only thing the tribe shares with other people in the world is the planet. The people are known to get violent to safeguard their isolation, making the location strictly prohibited for visitors and tourists irrespective of their aim. But why the hostility? North Sentinel Island is one of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the people inhabiting the island chose voluntary isolation rather than coexistence. It's obvious they don't want anything to do with the rest of the world. It is believed that they have been living on the island for over 50,000 years under Indian territory and the protection of its government. Reports suggest that around 150 inhabitants live on the island, but how do we ascertain this when no one, including researchers, is allowed on the island? Obviously no way. Since the islanders are not open to visitors, it is normal that the island is restricted to people from the outside world, considering the fact that the inhabitants haven't been exposed to the outside world for thousands of years. It is hard to imagine that with the current age of globalization, some people still live in the dark age, where there is no access to the internet and the numerous opportunities offered by various technologies. The very first peaceful contact with the Sentinelese people was made by Triloknath Pandit, the then director of the Anthropological Survey of India, along with his colleagues in 1991. Number 10, North Brother Island, United States. When you think of tourism centers in the United States, New York comes to mind. Though it's home to a number of historical sites, there's one place you should never go to in New York City. It is the North Brother Island. People are denied access to the location except by authorization because all its buildings are in a dangerous state of deterioration. North Brother Island sits next to the Rikers Island prison complex. From the 1880s up until World War II, the island served as a quarantine location for patients with infectious diseases such as smallpox and tuberculosis, including the infamous Typhoid Mary Mallon, whose asymptomatic typhoid infection caused the death of dozens of people she worked for. She would later be institutionalized on the island until her death in 1938. In June 1904, a steamship known as General Slocum burst into flames and sank close to the site, killing 1,021 people. The island was ultimately abandoned in 1963 following the unsuccessful run of the location as a drug rehabilitation center in the 1950s. Today, the site is being managed as a bird sanctuary. Also, no one is permitted to visit the island without getting due permission from the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, with the presence of one of their escorts. The island's buildings, which used to be powered by coal, are now completely submerged at high tide. Structures that are still standing among the trees, fronds, and wild vines are on the verge of collapse. The site is still filled with signs of previous habitation, as well as illegal visitations. Number 9. Mezhgorye, Russia. Mezhgorye is a top-secret town in Russia. The town is rumored to house a nuclear base. However, according to Russia, the town is just a mine site, making it unsafe for people to visit. Despite these revelations, no one can be sure of the presence of all those things. Let's describe this famous town a little more. Mezhgorye is a small enclosed town that was named by the Republic of Bashkortostan. It is located in the Ural Mountains in the southern part near Mount Yamantau, the highest mountain in the Urals. Mezhgorye is located 200 kilometers southeast of Ufa, the capital of the Republic of Bashkortostan. Founded in 1979, Mezhgorye is home to many secret projects. Rumors have it that it houses a secret nuclear system facility. Following the takeover of the Boris Yeltsin government after the fall of the government named by the Soviet Union, 2 garrisons were launched on top of this facility. The garrisons were called Beloretsk 15 and Beloretsk 16, but what if this place is a treasure trove? Or could it be used for food storage? It could also possibly serve as a bunker in case of nuclear wars. No one really knows the truth about the facility in this town. For this reason, it is considered Russia's Area 51, which also doubles as a top-secret town in the United States. However, since there have never been any official comments from the government, we still can't be sure what Mezhgorye truly is or what it is actually used for. Number 8. Pluto's Gate, Turkey. In ancient times, no one dares to visit Pluto's Gate because of the numerous danger looming there. Thought to be a gate to the underworld in Greco-Roman mythology and tradition, this cave has been in existence since time immemorial as part of what was then Hierapolis. According to a Greek geographer Strabo, the site is full of vapor. It is so misty and dense, and any animal that passes inside meets instant death. Hierapolis was founded around 190 BC by Eumenes II, king of Pergamum, and was ceded to Rome in 133 BC. The region would later grow into a flourishing Roman city with temples, a theater, and popular sacred hot springs, which are believed to have healing properties. It was said that pilgrims took the waters in the pool near the temple and slept close to the cave to receive visions and prophecies. The site was fully functional until the 4th century AD, and for the next 2 centuries, people occasionally visited it. It also served as a pilgrimage destination for ancient pagan intellectuals. However, during the 6th century AD, the Christians destroyed the plutonium. Earthquakes may have then completed the destruction. In 2013, the site was rediscovered near the town of Pamukkale. During the excavation, archaeologists saw several birds drop dead after flying too close. Since then, the U.S. government has urged its citizens to suspend travel plans to the region, citing terrorism concerns. Number 7, Fort Knox, Kentucky, USA. If there's any place that could be regarded as the most guarded place in the world, no place deserves it better than Fort Knox. It is home to the bigger half of the U.S. gold reserves. We are talking about roughly 147.3 million ounces of gold, which is the equivalent of $300 billion in today's currency. With this in mind, you can see reasons why it deserves to have a sophisticated level of security measures in place. Even if you're a gold trader, you're not allowed in the location. The most incredible thing is that not even the staff members can access the vault. To gain access to it, they would require to know several combinations. Unfortunately, each staff member knows only one of them. It makes it right that they would require one another's help to enter the vault. The problem now lies in how to make the right combination. Besides, the building is made of concrete-lined granite and reinforced by steel, making it able to withstand any attack from the outside world. Searchlights also hover above the innermost fence of the base. This security setup costs the government nothing less than $5 million per year. The vicinity of the site is out of bounds to visitors, and even the President of the United States has limitations. The only president that was ever allowed entry into the base was President Franklin Roosevelt, and that was in 1943. But cheer up a little in case it is on your bucket list to one day visit this site. You're allowed to stand outside the gate and take some pictures and possibly make some videos. Nothing more. Number 6. Jiangsu National Security Education Museum, China. Jiangsu National Security Education Exhibition Hall, also known as the Spy Museum, opened in 2009. Located at Hanlin Neighborhood Center, Linquan Street, the museum houses the history of espionage, secret intelligence services, and national security from the early days of the Chinese Communist Party to the late 1920s. This was the period the Communists began their guerrilla war against their nationalist foes. This barrel-shaped museum is not the kind of museum you'd find elsewhere. The museum contains collections that include tiny pistols disguised as fountain pens and tobacco pipes, hollowed-out coins used to conceal documents, a fake pocket calculator that hides a radio microphone, maps hidden as a deck of cards, classified documents, uniforms of the intelligence services, explanations of wiretapping techniques, among other weapons. But there is one thing you won't find there: foreigners. On why Westerners are prevented from accessing the museum, a spokeswoman for the museum, who only gave her surname as Qian, said it was to prevent the exposure of sensitive spy information to foreigners. Only those who appear clean and have Chinese features are allowed to enter the location. Spy museums are not only found in China, there are a host of museums in Washington and the Soviet KGB in both Moscow and Prague. While others are afraid of the possibility of a Cold War, China's museum is a reflection of more contemporary concerns. Number 5. Heard and McDonald Islands, Australia. Heard Island and McDonald Islands are located southwest of Perth, Western Australia, and north of Antarctica. They are home to Australia's only active volcanoes. One of the unique features of the islands is the makeup of the only sub-Antarctic island group with an intact ecosystem and no known species introduced by humans. But there's one thing about these islands. They are some of the remotest islands in the world. Think of it this way. Getting to the closest major landmark will take you a minimum of a 2-week sail. Now you see the reason you should never think of going there? There are even more reasons that Heard Island is out of bounds to the public. First, researchers noticed a vast lava flow coming from the island's massive volcano known as Mawson's Peak in 2000. Second, the weather conditions in Heard Island are poor. The third reason is that it is too remote to be safe. In the case of McDonald Island, it is small in comparison to Heard Island. There was volcanic activity on the principal island during the 1990s, which resulted in the destruction of some landmarks. In 2002, the Heard and McDonald Islands were declared marine reserves under the Commonwealth Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, 1999. Number 4. Bohemian Grove, San Francisco. This gathering is possibly the most unsettling and bizarre in America. Bohemian Grove, a cult-like group, is attended by the richest and most powerful men in America, but the conditions you'd have to meet to gain access to the club will put you off. To enter the club, you must have been on a 15-year-long waiting list and must pay $25,000. During the waiting period, you must have been paying a membership levy, which is $5,000 each year. You must also have an Ivy League college education. Members of the group include former Presidents Herbert Hoover and Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Clint Eastwood, and Richard Nixon. Who makes up the group? The group is composed of a variety of groups within Bohemian Grove, all of whom have different roles. Also, members of the group have been seen performing activities such as practicing rituals reminiscent of the occult and dressing up in drag queen costumes throughout the years. However, only 2 individuals witnessed this gathering. The first individual is Alex Jones, a radio show host and filmmaker who snuck into the premises to take pictures. The second is Alex Shumatoff, who is a writer for Vanity Fair. He was on the premises for approximately 4 hours before he got arrested. Despite the exclusiveness of the club, there is a strict prohibition on networking and business deals. The club's motto already states this: "Weaving spiders come not here." Members converge on the restricted campground annually for a 2-week sojourn while cutting off from the rest of the world. Strange, huh? Number 3. Zone Rouge, northeastern France. The Zone Rouge, translated to English as Red Zone, is a chain of non-contiguous areas throughout northeastern France sitting on 42,000 hectares of land. The zone is the remains of World War I's Battle of Verdun, which is considered the longest sustained conflict of World War I. The battle lasted 300 days and caused the loss of more than 300,000 French and German lives in 1916. The destruction left by the battle resulted in the creation of the Zone Rouge. The land was deemed too physically and environmentally damaged by the conflict that it is inhabitable for humans. Imagine a region where complete damage has been done to properties and agriculture. What's left? Absolutely nothing. Soils were heavily polluted by mercury, lead, chlorine, arsenic, various dangerous gases, acids, and human and animal remains. In addition, there are remains, including unexploded bombs, old ammunition, and live grenades. The Sécurité Civile agency once stated that cleaning the area completely would take about 700 more years. No one here will be alive by then. But what makes it so difficult to clean this area? It was discovered that there are 300 shells per hectare in the top 15 centimeters of soil in the worst areas. Rather than make attempts to clean up the former battlefields immediately, the land was allowed to return to nature. After the First World War, the French government isolated the region and the restrictions placed on it still exist today. Number 2. Waldo Canyon, Cascade, Colorado. One of the most fearsome fires in the history of Colorado ravaged 18,000 acres of this flora and fauna-filled landscape in 2012. The Waldo Canyon fire was a forest fire that started approximately 4 miles northwest of Colorado Springs, Colorado. The fire destroyed 346 homes, thus causing the evacuation of over 32,000 residents and partial evacuation of the United States Air Force Academy. 2 people died in the incident. The fire would be described as the most destructive fire in Colorado until the Black Forest Fire came almost a year later, which destroyed 486 homes and damaged about 24 homes. Following the incident, a non-profit organization, Colorado Springs Together, was formed to help remove debris and rebuild homes. By June 2014, almost 250 houses out of the 346 houses destroyed had been rebuilt. In the Mountain Shadows neighborhood, for instance, 77% of the houses were rebuilt, this time about 13.8% bigger than their original homes. While many of the residents implemented fire mitigation plans, those that didn't rebuild have put up their property for sale. In 2013, a study conducted by the State Forest Service and Colorado State University indicated that about 20% of the population of Colorado and 25% of Colorado homes are within a red zone, which indicates a place with a high likelihood of fires. By 2017, many parts of the canyon had already been opened to the public. However, the popular Waldo Canyon Trail has remained closed as a result of dangers such as fallen trees and erosion that have made the landscape that was once hiker-friendly now less navigable. Number 1. Grand Shrine of Ise, Japan. The Grand Shrine of Ise is considered the spiritual home of the Japanese people. Dating back almost 2,000 years, the shrine remains the most important and culturally significant shrine in all of Japan. This shrine houses the sun goddess Amaterasu, which is Japan's supreme deity. It also serves as the location of the sacred mirror of the emperor. There is a fascinating fact about the shrine. It has been a custom that the inner and outer shrines, as well as the Uji Bridge, are rebuilt every 20 years. The structures are destroyed and completely rebuilt in line with Shinto beliefs of rebirth and renewal. The 62nd rebuilding of the shrine was completed in 2013, while the 63rd rebuilding will take place in 2033. Today, Ise Grand Shrine contains about 125 shrines across Ise City. However, the inner and outer shrines remain sacred sites. The Naiku especially serves as the place where the sacred mirror, known as Yata no Kagami, is securely stored. The mirror is believed to date back to the 3rd century AD. Also, Toyuk, or the food goddess, is believed to dwell in Geku. Although tourists are allowed to feed their eyes on the roofs of Naiku and Geku, they are completely restricted from entering the inner and outer shrines of the Grand Shrine of Ise, obviously because of their sacred nature. Wait, would you still choose to visit any of the destinations we mentioned in this video, even with the threats it poses? Share your views in the comments.